Hey guys, Lorrena Magaña here, coming to you from the showroom of Filmmakers Los Angeles in West Hollywood. Today I'm talking to the cast and crew of the movie Tadaima. We have Claire Brooks, Vincent Hall, and one of the stars of the film, Vivian Umino. So let's take a look at a clip from the film.
Okay, pass mir eine Seite. Pass mir eine Seite. Okay, Jojo, pass mir eine Seite. Da schau mir eine. Pass mir eine Seite. Pass mir eine Seite. Nen kororio. Oh, kororio. Oyama yoi koda. Nen shina. Sato no miyake ni nani.
So tell me how you, Vivian and Claire, and Vincent, like how you guys come to this project.
Well, it was very much the director who came to us and sort of corralled us into believing in Tadaima. He has personal family history with Tadaima. His grandfather is in the camps as well as his grandmother, and so he grew up with these stories his whole life. And as he got older, he realized that the rest of the world was not hearing these stories, and most people were not aware that Japanese Americans were interned in camps during World War II. And so as he got older, he just became very passionate about telling this story. And when he came to Vince and I, as a friend and having worked with him before, we just really believed in his vision and his desire to get this story told. And that's how we came across Vivian and so many other talented actors and crew members.
Vivian, what was your experience like working on Tadaima?
The experience is pretty amazing because it's rare to have such a personal sort of connection with the story. My family too was Japanese American internment, and so when I saw the casting notice and I saw what the film was about and I saw sort of the breakdown, when I looked at the part that I ended up auditioning for, I said, that's my grandmother. And so it was kind of an amazing experience because I never met my grandmother. And so being part of this film, it was I took a copy of her photograph with me on set, and I would look at the photograph before I take, and I just realized, wow, I have a much deeper connection with her than I expected. It was kind of a learning about her, going through kind of this very difficult time in her life, I'm sure.
What was the rehearsal process like for you as an actor?
It was wonderful. Robin, definitely a director with a vision. And he really lets his actors sort of really sort of bring ideas, bring there's in my case my stories. He spent time listening to me as I was discussing sort of what I knew of that time period, and it was kind of an amazing thing that Robin. There were a couple of scenes where he allowed me to basically improvise. And I rarely have worked with somebody who was that sort of open with their actors, but we talked so much about sort of what this meant, we both had a personal stake in it. Like there was, it developed, I think, a trust and sort of an understanding, a true understanding. And at that point I was channeling my grandmother and I think he knew it. And he was like, go right ahead. So it's an amazing experience on both those levels.
What was the, production process like for the two of you to work with Robin? How long did it take you, once Robin had this idea, to finally starting to shoot? Like, what was that process like for you guys?
Well, Robin had come to me, I think, a year before we even began the process of pre-production. But and at that point, I hadn't realized that Robin had been developing this project for years before that. But he had notebooks and scripts that he had written, and but I mean, from the time I heard about it, it was a year before we even sat down and discussed it, and then it was another 8 months before we ended up shooting. It was fast from when we got it because we all understood the weight of it. I think we all found this attachment to the project pretty fast. So
Yeah.
but it was what, 5 years in the making, I think, for him, you know.
Absolutely. He was definitely involved with it for quite some time in the development stage. And when he was ready to bring us on to produce it, he was very adamant that he wanted it to get done in a year if possible. And so one of the primary roles I had was raising the budget. And so my call to action was we have a year to get the money and to find the location and to find the cast and to identify all our crew members. And it's a lot, and we all have jobs and responsibilities and families, and this was very much a passion project, I think, for all of us, carving out that time to do what seemed like the impossible. When we speak to people about it, they're like, you guys did what in that short amount of time, and you raised how much money, and you got up to Santa Cruz and shot this in 2 weeks, in a week? Like, it's very, for me as a producer, it's a real source of pride whenever somebody comes to you and says, I want to get this done, can you help me get to the finish line? And I get to sit back and go, okay, how do we break this down into challenges and tasks that we can identify and then accomplish those goals and just keep ticking them off. And he was really supportive, and Vince the whole way was just really a champion, and we really tag teamed every single piece to just get this behemoth of a project across the finish line.
So what was the most memorable experience or something that you took away from this project? I'll start with you, Vivian.
Outside of, just to let you know, it was an amazing cast and crew. I mean, it was one of the best sets I've ever worked on. People were so focused, and I think it had to do with the core of the story and the director's vision, that there was a weight to it. My sort of most amazing part, was really being in that house. That house was, I think, built sometime in the early 1900s. And there was a lot of production design to get it to look, sort of, in the time, roughly the time period of World War II. And there was something about sort of channeling my grandmother, and then also being in a structure, in a place that really was that old, that really sort of sparked something. And so when I talked earlier about the improv, and I meant improv, while the set was running, the camera was going, there was something that really took hold, in a way that, sometimes as an actor, you strive so much to get to the core, like the soul of the character, not just sort of the emotion, but really sort of the deeper elements. And there was something, with the house being there, that crew, that, cast, that in my personal sort of history, that I felt that. I felt that, and I can just feel everyone around me feeling it sort of with me. And so that, that's rare for an actor to be able to experience all that. So that was definitely a highlight.
I think for me, it was probably the house, finding the house and finding the location. That process was very hard. Robin took numerous trips to Northern California, asking we even went down to San Pedro looking for the house. And he had a very clear vision in his head of what the house looked like, because to him it was very much a character. But for me as the producer, I just had sort of this ticking clock, and I was like, we gotta find our location. Like, we can't do the other stuff without the location. And I'll never forget the day that Robin called and said, I think I found it. And he was very much on like a needle in a haystack sort of journey, driving all across Northern California, knocking on people's doors, saying like, I think your house works, can I shoot here? And finally he found this home, and we ended up, it was actually a compound sort of setup where there was apple orchards, and there was a little house behind sort of this meandering road, road that was untouched, and that was just one aspect of the property that we were on. There was also the main house where we set up our production shop, and the house like had this amazing energy and vibe, and there was something almost spiritual about our whole experience being on that land. And then the Santa Cruz community supported us when we said we're shooting in Corralitos and we have our crew staying at UCSC. We got support from the local Whole Foods for free food. Local sushi restaurants came out and just gave us food for our crew. I mean, I was slashing parts of our budget because the Santa Cruz area just 100% embraced what we were doing. It was that was definitely the highlight for me.
That's cool.
That's it. I mean, it all kind of ties into that same notion, finding the house. And for me, it was in those scouts, the people we talked to along the way that had attachment to this era. You know, people that once we told them what the topic was, or you know, generally California specifically, people all have been a part of it. Really, if you understand the history, you know, they. Friends, family, you know, these stories that we would hear in just getting to where we got was a big thing for me. You know, people that you know reached out to me down the road that weren't really involved with the film. Just how did it go? Can we see it? You know, just because it means something to a lot of people, I guess, and that's what meant something to me. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.